We filmed her in construction. We filmed her launch. And we even filmed her sea trials. And now we're on board the finished yacht, SIMENA, a marvellous 62-metre super sailing ketch built by ARES, and now here in the south of France. My name's David Seal, this is the Yachts for Sale YouTube channel, and if you enjoy watching walkthrough videos of yachts that actually are for sale, you're in the right place. So don't forget to like and subscribe. First of all though, here are some technical details that you need to know about this model. Her length overall is 62 meters, that's 203 feet and 4 inches. She has a beam of 10.8 meters, which is 35 feet and 6 inches. A draft of 4.72 meters, 15 feet and 5 inches, and she's been delivered this year, 2026. Her gross registered tonnage is 498. Her hull is built from steel and her superstructure from GRP. She has a top speed of 14 knots, a cruising speed of 11 knots. This is powered, of course, by wind and by one MAN engine and an ingenious hybrid propulsion system that we'll talk about later. Usually when we're filming a sailing yacht, I do struggle a little bit about what to say on the main deck because there's not a lot going on the main deck of most sailing yachts. Not the case with SIMENA. There is so much happening here. You have the central opening doors here. There's a passerelle underneath so that when you're in the Mediterranean especially and you're moored stern to, this will be your main entrance and exit to the yacht. So you'd come through here, past these fantastic sunbathing areas here, and straight away you're greeted with a jacuzzi. I do like a yacht with some wow factor, and this yacht really does have that wow factor. I just think that when you spend a lot of money on a luxury yacht, you need to be able to walk on board and look at it and go, oh, this is so cool. I'm going to enjoy my time on board. So we have the hot tub there. And I really appreciate as well the artistry and the craftsmanship that goes into curving and bending the wood like this. It's not necessary, but it does look very elegant indeed. These stainless steel breathers are essentially for the crew quarters below so that they have fresh air circulating into the crew quarters. We'll be looking at that area very soon. A wonderful dining area, and this is certainly going to be one of the areas on the yacht that a lot of time is spent in, actually not just dining, but if you have a big group of people, there are fillers. I think there's 2 fillers that can make that into one very big dining table indeed. I would say easily large enough for 12 people, probably 14 or even 15 people. I would say you could get around there, but 12 very comfortably. A few things less visible. Above us here, this is for a projector rather, because the screen is here. And that comes down so that you can sit there enjoying some popcorn and a drink and enjoying a movie outside. Underneath here we have a good sized grill, and underneath the other one there's a couple of sinks as well. So this is a great barbecue station with a fridge and an ice maker and some storage underneath too. But one of the things I've always enjoyed about this yacht, even from the time that we first filmed her in the shipyard being built, are these amazing side decks. And I think one of the reasons I enjoy walking the side deck is partly because you can really appreciate the beautiful woodwork and varnishing that's gone in the capping rails, the handrails, the actual superstructure itself, which I'd remind you is actually built from GRP. So that's a wood cladding that goes on top of it that looks very, very beautiful indeed. We passed earlier the entrance for the crew, and we'll be circling back to that later. But this will be the main entrance where the guests arrive, especially when they're arriving by tender, as we did this morning. You have some sea steps. We'll be seeing Later on, there's also a shell door that becomes a platform that you can step on and off. Actually, for us, it was one of the easiest entrances to a yacht that we've had for a long time, partly because the sea state is beautiful today, but also for the whole system of the way of getting on and off the yacht. So you'd come up the sea steps through this door and into the lobby. We'll be looking at that later. And by the way, that tender, which is built specifically for this yacht, can fit on the foredeck. And we'll take a look at the foredeck now. You can see more seating area there. At first, when I saw that seating area, I did wonder how many people will use it because it's so close to the mast. But actually, I think it's a great spot just to make a personal telephone call, have a private conversation away from everybody else, because there's plenty of other seating areas on board. And then we get to the foredeck. You'll be able to do a close-up of this later, Slava, but I love the fact that even the crane, which is a very impressive looking piece of kit, has got the ARES logo. It's really dignified as an important thing on the yacht. You've got the chocks here for the main tender and also for the secondary tender. And for those of you who watch this channel who are maybe not quite familiar yet with the way that yachts are used, it's great to have two tenders because the guests will usually arrive with that really nice custom tender, but you need something as well for the crew to go and get provisions, to take the garbage out as well if you've been at anchor for a long time. So that will often be used as a crew tender, with this one being kept for the guests. You can see the forward doghouse here, and that's for the crew. They have two cabins forward, and we'll be seeing later that there's also a whole crew area aft, but there's this extra capacity for crew here. And once again, you've got the breathers there for them to get fresh air. Let's take a look down the other side deck. On both side decks, there's access doors on the side. And I'm really impressed as well with the width of these side decks. I mean, I'm not saying that it's particularly a wheelchair-friendly yacht. That's not what it's built for, but certainly if you do have people who need wheelchair assistance, this is a side deck that you could do that. You'd probably have to weave in and out of the rigging a little bit. But I guess they need to build them with this kind of width to be able to accommodate all of the deck hardware. Behind this little hatch here, you've got a firefighting station with an outlet for a decent sized hose and some other equipment in there too. But now it's time to look inside the yacht, and I think you'll agree it's absolutely sensational. A detail that I really appreciated on this yacht was the skill that had gone into the teak capping rails and handrails. It's not easy to bend it like this. It's not even necessary, but it looks great and is one of the many small details that create a magnificent profile to the overall structure. When a shipyard is building a yacht with the intention of selling it, one of the big challenges is the interior design. I've seen time and time again where the owner of the shipyard gets so passionate and so personally involved with the interior design that quite extreme design choices are made. And as a result, the delivery time of the yacht gets put back, sometimes even a year or 2 years. The price of the yacht goes up because of the extremely expensive materials on board. And I have to take my hat off in respect for the Kalafatoglu family who were responsible for building this yacht and their exquisite design choices, because this is beautiful. I don't think anybody could object to this design. The designer of the yacht itself, by the way, is Tanju, and I'm not going to attempt his surname because I can't remember exactly how it's pronounced, but it's from Taka Yacht Design. And a lot of these very beautiful classic yachts, both sail and motor, come from the hands of Taka. And I love, for example, the cambered ceiling that gives you almost that pirate yacht feel to it. The natural light that comes in, and these beautiful stainless steel fittings here. But also this is designed with a sense of practicality. You have different materials. It's very luxurious, very elegant. But whilst you have a soft fabric material over there, on this side, where you have the large dining table, you have a material used that's still premium material, but will be a lot easier to clean off. You know, if you have children eating inside, not just children, me too, sometimes they make a mess, ice cream can drip. So I thought that was very clever to have a different material there that can easily be cleaned off. Also, the various sorts of design here, it's not overwhelming, it's just very, very sophisticated. I don't know exactly what material this is, but it's very, very beautiful. I love the pop-up television there, and I'm sure we've got footage of it not up, and you can see the beautiful painting that goes on behind it. Again, this is a yacht that for the owner that arrives on board is not just greeted by a wonderful view outside with that jacuzzi and seating area, but also when you come inside, there's a welcoming feel to the vessel. You'll remember earlier I showed you the side door for the side boarding ladder. Well, that corresponds with this door here, and you're greeted with this beautiful piece of woodwork and artistry, really. Behind there, by the way, just so that you know, this opens up and there's a technical space behind there. I love as well the way that they've got these curves to the side bulkheads. They're all little details that when they all come together, they create such a lovely, cozy, elegant feel to the vessel. Then of course we have the bridge. In keeping with the yachts, they have this lovely aged leather, both here and on this seat. Actually, I was sitting there making notes a little bit earlier. It's a lovely spot just to be able to have some peace and quiet when there's nobody here. We'll talk a little bit about the instruments later because this is not the only bridge, but I think it's important to mention that we have a radio room through there as well that's very, very well appointed. And actually for most of the day, there was a crew member in there doing his work as a little yacht's office. It's not ended there though, because there's something hidden on this yacht that I really need to show you. Around this corner, we have a beautifully appointed day head hidden away from the main salon. But just take a look at what's up these stairs. Because up here you have the sun deck, and there's two things that really impress me up here. One is that even though it's a small area as far as floor space is concerned, and I remember at the time of seeing it in the shipyard, wondering about the size of it, but look how they really maximize the space with that fantastic sunbathing area aft. And it's such a lovely area to just come and sit and have a cup of tea or a cocktail. But the second thing that impressed me is when I saw these two helm stations. There are, or there seems to me to be, as many, if not more, controls up here than there are in the main bridge. It's probably not more, but nonetheless, this is the most fully equipped, what I would call a flybridge helm station I've ever seen, and there's two of them. So this is a serious yacht for navigating long distances, and I would imagine to be a captain of a yacht like this, you would be so happy to see that kind of a helm station. I was unfamiliar with the Brunel throttle control panel in the bridge, showing the various propulsion modes that are available for SIMENA. We discussed these in some detail in the first video that we produced in the shipyard, and we'll be circling back to this topic again at the end of this video. That said, let's take a look below deck. And actually, even access to the cabin area below deck is a very cool design feature, because we have this central lobby area here, and I can go to my left down the stairs, which takes me aft towards the crew areas, or to my right, which takes me forward to the guest areas. So let's start by going to my right. I was trying to figure out the best way to show you the layout of the yacht. Usually I would show you the best at the end. That's an old trick that yacht brokers and salespeople, I guess, do quite a lot. But on this occasion, I want to start with what I consider the best part of the yacht, the most beautiful and spectacular part of the yacht, and that is the owner's stateroom, because just look at it. Just look at this. Now, I do think that it's a different discipline designing the interiors of a sailing yacht rather than a motor yacht, in as much as you have less beam usually to play with. The bow has a finer entry, and so it's been very clever the way they use the maximum beam that they could as you come into the cabin, that gives you a real sense of space. They've used lovely materials, as you would expect. You've got a great little beauty cabinet there as well. A pop-up television set just here. But then the surprise is that when the beam is far less, they've used it to put this bathtub, and it adds wow factor. I would imagine that taking a bath in that tub in this cabin must be a real good feeling of luxury, having all this space around you. You'd be forgiven for thinking that is the bathroom, since that's where the bath is. It's not. The bathroom is through here, and they've really made the most of this space. You have a very, very large shower there, 2 good-sized sinks as well. It's beautifully appointed, it really is. I mean, if you ever get the chance to visit this yacht, everything around you has that feeling of premium quality. But because they positioned the tub in that forward position, making a real statement in the master stateroom, that's given them space then for a really nice large bathroom. On the other side, we have a really well-proportioned walk-in closet, and you really can walk in, plenty of space for your clothes as well. Let's take a look at the guests and where they're staying. Now there are 4 guest staterooms. We'll show you all of them, but I'll just show you one because I really like the fact that they employ a design style here that's in keeping with the rest of the yacht, but it's a little bit different. You've got these metal strips here which break up the bulkhead. You've got use of different sorts of fabrics. I don't know what this is, but it looks really effective. It also looks quite easy to keep clean while still looking luxurious. And again, you have a really nicely proportioned ensuite head too. I'm back in the central lobby now, and there's one more guest cabin to show you, and it's a nice flexible feature on the yacht. Because here we have another cabin, again with single bunks, which is easily prestigious enough for use for guests on board if you need it, or can double up as a captain's cabin. If you want to have the extra crew, you've got this option. If you want to have the extra guests, you've got the other option as well. Making our way further aft and passing on to the starboard side, we pass a really well-equipped laundry, and I think a lot of crew, when they see that, they'll wish they had a laundry of that size where you can actually not just wash your clothes, but also space to get the ironing done. There's fridges, freezers in there too. And past the laundry room, we have access to this area here, which is kind of interesting because we have one door here leading to the opening shell door. And when we arrived, we pulled the tender up to the shell door, stepped onto it, and then in through here. And you can imagine if you're a guest on board to be greeted with this beautiful woodwork and then straight through there onto the yacht. That's a nice way of doing it. Or otherwise, this door closes and the crew have their own door as well, so that if they're taking garbage out or going to get provisioning, it means that they're not disturbing any of the guests. There are two very distinct areas on board. Also from here, for the crew, access to the engine room here. We'll be talking about that later. And further aft still, this is a very nicely proportioned crew mess. We were all having our lunch here earlier, but just a few features you might not otherwise notice. These drawers here can be fridges or freezers. You have controls here at the top, so you can switch it from fridge to freezer mode. That's a useful feature. And I've never seen so many CCTV cameras on the yacht, all beautifully labelled. You can keep an eye on the engine room, the flybridge. You know when guests are on board, need a hand with their luggage. Very, very useful feature for the crew. Further aft, we have 4 crew cabins with their bathrooms as well. And we have some footage of that we've taken. And through here, we have a really nicely appointed galley. That's a well-equipped galley that can probably have a chef and a sous chef. There's space for 2 people to work around each other. Full height fridges in there as well. Really a good yacht if you're going to explore and be at sea for long periods of time. And the access that the crew has to the aft deck, by the way, is through here. You'll remember that as we went down the starboard side deck, I said that there was a door leading to the crew area. That's where it comes out. As often happens, I'm always very impressed by shipyards and designers who blend beauty with practicality. Sailing yachts, of course, are designed to heel over to some extent, and so handrails become particularly important. Just look at how the designers have worked with ARES to make these discreet and yet easy to find, seamlessly integrating them into the overall image of the vessel. Also, below deck is the access to the engine room. Now, as I mentioned earlier, SIMENA has a number of propulsion options, with the key components being the single MAN engine, 3 generators, and an E-motor. The flexibility this offers is incredible, and one interesting option is that the yacht can run on engine power whilst the E-motor is being used to generate power for the hotel load on board. If you prefer, the generators can run the E-motor for propulsion and the engine is not used at all. The yacht has an impressive 4,000 nautical mile range under engine power and a more than impressive 6,000 nautical mile range at 7 knots in shaft generation mode. In reality, different circumstances call for different propulsion options, and a skilled captain will know which one to select for the circumstances in which you find yourself. Whilst it is good to have those options because the weather is not always favourable for sailing, no doubt the future owner of SIMENA will really buy the yacht for the moments that he can sail. And I'm happy to say that after filming countless sailing yachts on days when there was no wind whatsoever, finally the gods of YouTube have smiled down on us, giving us fantastic weather to film this. It seemed that the gods of YouTube had the last laugh as the wind grew stronger and stronger, eventually making it impossible for us to control the drone. We did, however, get this footage from a distance, and added to footage we already have, you can experience what an amazing sailing yacht this really is. I really do enjoy working with a great team. I often say that our team is probably the best in the industry at producing yacht walkthrough videos. But as I was filming this yacht, I realized that there's a great team associated with the SIMENA too. I mean, you have a military shipyard that built it, who's now turning their hands at yachts. And I was blown away by the tests they put their vessels through to make sure how robust they are. You have a fantastic designer, Tanju, of Taka Yachts, who's world renowned for designing exactly this kind of vessel. Then you have, as a broker, Deniz Kaymaz, who's probably more knowledgeable of Turkish yacht builders than anybody else I've ever met. You have McCarter, who's more knowledgeable of sailing yachts than anybody I've ever met. You have the captain on board, who, as I was talking to him, I realized that he's quite a heavyweight in the sailing yacht industry. He is very, very highly respected for his knowledge of yachts of this size. And it did make me think that whoever ends up buying this yacht, they have a fantastic team to refer to get all of the information they need in making their decision and then in the purchasing process. And who is that person who will buy the yacht? It's really difficult to tell because it would appeal to so many different people. But with the range of the yacht that it has and the level of comfort that's on board, I would like to hope that it may be somebody who really does want to explore the world. You could take this yacht almost anywhere, and to see it arriving in Fiji, in Papua New Guinea, Vietnam, properly cruising the world, as thankfully more and more yacht owners are doing now, that is what this yacht is built for, and I would love to see it doing that. But whoever you are, and whatever way that you plan to use the yacht, do get in contact with us. The details of the brokers are in the description below.